everyone. This is Candace Cordelia here with you once again at theeverydayfan.com. I am chatting today with Rohit Raju from Impact Wrestling. How are you, Rohit?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You're all ready. You're standing tall. You got the Impact shirt on. Slammiversary.
Gotta represent. Gotta represent.
100%. How did you get into wrestling as a young kid?
The earliest memory of wrestling, my dad was flicking through channels, and I remember seeing a clip of the Road Warriors wrestling, and I was just blown away. And ever since then, I just was hooked, and I always wanted to do it. I would wrestle this giant teddy bear and mimic all the voices and do my own commentary. And I would G.I. Joe guys used to come with this paint, so I would paint my face like Warrior Sting or the Road Warriors. I had this yellow shirt, this Superman shirt. My mom cut the back to look like Hogan's. So yeah, I would do whatever I could to emulate and be absorbed with professional wrestling. I would take G.I. Joe guys and I would unscrew them and I would put other body parts with them so they looked like professional wrestlers. And I would make little professional wrestlers out of the G.I. Joe guys. So yeah, I was obsessed with it and I never really stopped loving it. And I always wanted to do it. Then I finally had a chance to train and stuff like that, and the rest is history.
So talk to us about your training. I understand you're from Michigan. Did you train in Michigan? And if so, what was that scene like?
Yeah, I trained with a guy named Xavier Justice. He was out of Davison. Now he's out of Flint. He had been wrestling for about 10 or 12 years. And I had wanted to go to the House of Truth, but I was working a full-time job at the time. And the House of Truth was about almost 2 hours away. So by the time I got out of work, it wasn't going to happen. That the school was already going to be, the class would have already been halfway done. So I was like, well, I can't make this happen. And then I had found this place, which was like a few times a week. And so I could go on my days off, and I trained for 6 months. It was crazy because it was in a barn. It was very old school. Summertime was great when we were training out there, but the wintertime, it was freezing. We would be in triple layers of clothes, trying to learn how to bump, hit ropes that were like concrete, and take bumps on a frozen ring. So that was really rough. After I got cleared, I would go down to the House of Truth and just kind of get tips from Truth Martini, which is really cool. And then years later, a group of us wanted some more training. So we went out to the Can-Am dojo, Scott D'Amore's place, and started learning from, Johnny Bravo was out there. A guy named Phil Atlas was out there. A1 was out there. Of course, Scott was out there. Johnny Devine was out there. So nothing but grade A talent, that was helping us out. And we were already in the business for, I think, like 7 years or something like that. We just wanted to go to get some new training and brush up our skills. So, and then that's what I always give credit to all three of those guys as far as my training goes.
That's excellent. So when you had your first real match, what was going through your mind, having it being your first time in the ring with someone?
It was like a weird Survivor Series style type matchup. So it was wild. I'm not going to lie. I was very nervous. I still get nervous to this day before I walk out there. Just because you want everything to be great and you want to do your best and you want the match to be excellent. So I still get those weird, anxious nerves. But of course I was nervous. Of course I was trying to remember everything that I was supposed to do and listen, to the crowd. And because I was trained to work on the fly, kind of, instead of calling a bunch of stuff in the back. You can call a few things, but also work on the fly, listen to the crowd, listen to whoever the veteran is in the ring. So a lot of stuff like that. So I was just really trying to, honestly, the feeling back then is the same it is now. Do my best and make sure everything I'm doing is 100%. So that's what it was. But the butterflies were there. And by the time I was out there and I was kind of feeling it, I was good to go.
Your promo skills are fantastic, if I may say so myself. So how did that? Oh,
I mean, as a kid, it goes back to me mimicking like Dusty Rhodes, Macho Man. Yeah, I was always trying to mimic and copy these wrestlers and cut the promo in their voice. So, and even as when I got into high school, I would still do that. Like the Attitude Era was really big. So I would, we would go to wrestling shows and the wrestlers would come out backstage or, try to get into their cars. I would be cutting a promo on, like, Scott Hall would be walking to his car. I'd be cutting a promo as Dusty Rhodes on Scott Hall, or Steve Austin if it was like a WWE show or something of that nature. So that I was always talking. I was always trying to entertain my friends like a wrestler, trying to mimic Ric Flair, trying to do these things. So when I actually got into wrestling, it kind of became secondhand. And when I was a kid too, I would always freestyle rap. We would freestyle rap in the back of the bus on the way to like basketball games and stuff. So I kind of just put that in with professional wrestling. And that's my favorite part. I feel like the promo is a lost art. I don't think a lot of guys can cut a good promo nowadays. I think there's a lot of emphasis on moves, and a lot, because gifs are a huge thing. Gifs or gifs, whatever you want to say, that's like a huge thing for internet. That can make somebody blow up real huge. And I do think a lot of people are good at promos. If they're good at editing, they'll put together really good packages and they'll cut a pretty good promo, but the editing will really attract people from watching it, unlike me cutting a promo in front of this. You know what I'm saying? So I think it is a lost art, but my favorite era of wrestling were the guys, or at least wrestlers, were the guys that could do it all. Were the Steve Austins, the Ric Flairs, the Rocks, the Dusty Rhodes, the Macho Mans, Jake the Snakes, the guys that could sit there and tell a great story in the ring and cut the promo. And to this day, I still walk around my house cutting promos on random wrestlers. And then when it's time to cut a promo that may be similar to that, I just take bullet points of things that I've said just walking around or driving, and I add it into the promo. And I try to get to that mindset. What's the emotion behind the promo? I mean, am I going to be a cocky little piece of trash, or am I going to be very serious? Am I going to be angry? And so I channel into whatever that emotion is, and then it comes natural, I guess. It's weird, I guess.
I might have to ask you to cut a promo after this for the fans, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
So how do you get from training and, you know, practicing and doing the promos to Impact Wrestling? How did that process start for you?
Right place, right time. That's all that was. I didn't think I was going to get anything for a long time. I had a pretty good small stint with Ring of Honor. I went to a few of their training camps. I went to like 3 or 4 of them, and I got better each time. And like the second time I went, I ended up getting booked because Delirious at the time was like, hey, I noticed you took everything I told you to improve on. You look better, you're moving better, and all this stuff. He goes, I noticed that. We got a booking for you. And then I would just show up to Ring of Honor shows, and they would use me. I wrestled for them maybe like 5 or 6 times. I think the first Future of Honor pay-per-view, my name got thrown around in the Top Prospect tournament a few times, and just nothing ever happened with them. And then I was like, I don't know, because Impact it wasn't a thing. When I knew Scott D'Amore, he wasn't part of Impact anymore. He was done. He was just running a school. So Impact wasn't even a thing. I remember EC3 came to a Detroit show one time, and we were talking to him. He's like, yeah, you got to go down there, and you know, they might put you on and this, that, and the other, but Impact wasn't even in the bubble. And then we were training at Can-Am, and Scott ended up going back to Impact as the VP, and they needed some tag teams, and Idris Abraham had got signed, and I was good friends with him, and we have a very similar style and similar look. And well, I don't say similar look, but we meshed together. And he's like, hey, we need a partner for Idris. I have an opportunity for you. Why don't you come on down, and we'll give you a couple matches and see how you do. And I did real well, and Jarrett was in charge at the time. And I was like, man, Jarrett liked me. He pulled me aside, and he thought I was really good. I was like, man, I think I might get signed. And then months went by and nothing happened. And then they had the gut check, and I decided to do that. And at first it was for Pro Wrestling Noah. That's why I did it, because there was 2 camps. There was one for Impact, but I figured I already had my foot in the door, so I didn't need to worry about that. And the other one was for Pro Wrestling Noah, because I remember Marufuji was there. But Marufuji already knew he wanted to take before we even did it. So I was like, I guess that's that. And then out of the Impact camp, they had the gut check thing. And they're like, hey, do you want to be part of the gut check? And I was like, sure, I'll do that. And then it ended up being I was part of the gut check to actually winning it. And then I went down to Ottawa, and I wasn't signed yet, but I was a gut check winner. So they're like, all right, well, let's see what you can do. And I remember I wrestled Ishimori which was awesome. And I was wrestling as Hakim Zane at the time. And then I had a couple of 6-man tags and stuff like that. And my nerves were there. I didn't know anybody. I'm not an indie name, so I didn't have any indie buzz. I'm in there with guys that were way better than me, that are all comfortable. So it was just really weird. And of course, there's that clubhouse mentality that you got to kind of earn your stripes there, and no one's going to give you anything, and, you know, not even respect. You kind of got to earn that. And then I remember my last match was with Eddie Edwards, which is a huge badge of honor for me. I think he chopped me like 500 times. My chest, you know, was hamburger, beet red, bloody. Took it like a champ. And so I thought, like, that was cool. I think I earned a little bit of his respect. I know I definitely earned his respect now out of all the years, which is tremendous. And get well, Eddie, but because he had a little appendix thing going on or something. So get well, Eddie. But next thing I know, Scott was like, hey, we'll let you know what's going on, if we're gonna bring you on or not, or bring you back. And it was December. It was around Christmas time, and I got a phone call. And he said, next time I see you, I'm going to be sliding a contract in front of you, and we're going to bring you on. And then in January, right before I went down to tapings, I got a call, and he said, hey, we just signed this deal with Sony 6 India. We want to put together an Indian stable. I'm half Indian. So he was like, we're going to change your name. We're going to do all this stuff. And at first I was worried. I was like, great. Now I'm going to be the stereotypical wrestler, Indian bad guy. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't want to do that. Cause I was, like I said, I was Hakim Zane when I first started, which was my name on the indies. And then it grew. Rohit ended up growing from this just lackluster character to what I am now. And I really have to thank Impact for that, because I remember when I told Scott I didn't want to do this, I didn't want to be this stereotypical character. He goes, you were giving you the freedom to do almost anything you want. You have to make it your own. So as soon as I was a singles wrestler, I created this persona, and that helped with when I won the belt, and then the rest is history, I guess. It's great. I love it.
That's amazing.
Long story. Well, I mean, that's a long answer for a very quick question, but I figured I'd, elaborate on it as far as my tenure and Impact, how that goes.
Yeah, we love long answers here, so I'm not mad at it. So what did your family think about your decision to carve a pro wrestling career?
I'm not gonna lie, and this isn't a knock against anybody, but no one really supported me. I think everyone thought it was, no one said don't do it, but I think everyone just thought it was a pipe dream. Oh, he's going to go. It's like, yeah, I'm going to go be an actor. So I'm going to go move to Hollywood and bust tables and hand out my 8x10s. You know what I mean? I don't think anyone thinks it's a big thing until you do it, until you find success in it. There were a couple of friends of mine that, it was actually 2 friends of mine that really were supportive since day one, and they're still very supportive. But other than that, I haven't had really a lot of support doing this. It's been my own thing. I butt heads with a lot of people, leaving and taking a lot of time away from home and stuff like that. So it's kind of sucked when it comes to that. I honestly don't have a lot. Even now, I don't have a lot of support. I just kind of do my thing. It's still it's being a professional wrestler and trying to have ties with people. It's rough. It's because you're on the road, and I'm not even on the road as much as like if I was in a company that's on the road. Luckily for Impact, I can be gone for like a week, about once a month, and we film our tapings. And then of course I have indie shows that I do. I try to do every weekend, especially now that things are opening back up. But it is a tough schedule because you'll be gone for weeks. And how do you plan that? You know what I mean? A lot of people don't like that, and they don't want to plan and wait for you and all this other stuff. So it's kind of like a lonely road, really, for me. I really don't have a lot of support, but I do it because I love it and it makes me happy. And I found it's bittersweet because sometimes, you don't like the position that you're in, and you, as a performer, a hungry performer, you always want more. So I'm always wanting more. But yeah, honestly, I haven't really had a lot of support doing this. There's a lot of well-wishers and people that are like, okay, yeah, that's really cool. But no one that really goes out of their way to come to shows or watch Impact every week or anything of that nature. So there's no one that really does that. So it is what it is. It sucks. I'm not gonna lie, but I have accepted that, and I move forward. So it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of the road, which you just briefly mentioned, everything's opening back up as you were stating. People are getting vaccinated. Do you have any news about what's happening with Impact? Are you guys headed back anytime soon, or is it still kind of, in the works?
No clue what's going on. I know the July tapings are still in Nashville, not in front of anybody. So no clue, but I'm sure, obviously, I don't know anything about the inner workings when it comes to that stuff. I'm just a fly on the wall, when it comes to any of that knowledge. But I'm sure they have to be trying to figure out something when we can get back in front of crowds, especially with things opening up as much as they are. And, from what you hear, how things are going to open back up in July and all this other stuff. So, yeah, I'm sure Impact has a plan, and it's only a matter of time before they announce it and we figure out when we're going to get back on the road and stuff like that. I'm excited. I love the fact, even though it's small crowds, I love being in front of a crowd. I also like being that isolation. I don't mind it. It's weird. I don't mind not wrestling in front of a crowd at Impact. It's really weird. It's this weird feeling because I can find the cameras more, and really, I think the character work stands out more when there's no crowd, because you have to watch the action. You're not playing to here, you're playing to people at home. So I think the storytelling is a little bit deeper like that. It does take your adrenaline away, which sucks, man. You get hit, chopped, slammed, clothesline. Man, that's rough, because your adrenaline, it's like any sports event. The crowd is a sixth man. So if they're reacting, your juices are going and you're like, yeah, let's do this. Let's give them more. So that's great. And when there is no crowd, that is missing, and that adrenaline isn't quite at its peak. So everything hurts a lot more than it normally does when you're in front of a crowd. So that's a big difference. But I honestly don't mind it, but I do enjoy working in front of the small crowds that I have been in front of as of late.
Yeah. What's one city that you can't wait to get back to when the opportunity comes back up?
Probably Vegas. I like Las Vegas. I like going out, having a good time. And I just think Vegas is really cool. So I think that'll be nice. I would like to do something down in Florida. I got to do the collective stuff this year down in Florida, and I just like Florida. I really like the weather down there. Like I said, I'm from Michigan, so 6-7 months of the year, it's nothing but cold. And we get like hot weather, maybe warm weather, maybe 4-5 months if we're lucky, if that. It's right now it's decent. May has been kind of a normal May where it's like 70s, 80s. Today it dropped. I know this week it's supposed to drop to 60s, but like when I was in Florida, I love that warm weather. I love the beaches. I love stuff like that. I'm made for stuff like that. I'm not made for winter. And so every winter for me, I'm just dreading it. But I would love to do something like that. Go back down to Mexico. I want to go there. I'm hoping, because I know Impact's kind of huge in the UK, I want that to be my bridge to go over to Europe. I really want to go to Europe and wrestle, do some shows out there. I know I have some people I know out there, so I'd like to get in touch with them and see if there's something I can do and work a couple of shows out there, whether it's with Impact or not. But but I think out of everything, Vegas, I just enjoy Vegas a lot.
You have been in the Daisy Hit Squad, and now you're really coming into your own as a singles star. So talk to us about that, how that's been, just really getting into these singles matches and really showing a different side of yourself.
That's where I thrive. I understand what Impact was trying to do with the Hit Squad, but it was kind of a flop from the start. Like there was so much push, stop. Like myself and Grissinder, and I do want to throw out congratulations to him. He made his debut in NXT UK. Very proud of him. Looks in tremendous shape. Watched his match, so that's huge. Nothing but love to Grissinder. Or my bad now, Rohan Raja. Sounds a lot like Rohit Raju, brother. I don't know what to say, but I don't know who gave him the name. Right when I saw his name, I was like, man, it just sounds like my name. What are you doing? But no, I know he didn't. I'm sure he didn't do that on purpose. But I'm so proud of him. So I do have to throw out a huge congratulations to him, because sky's the limit for that guy. But when we first got together, they brought in Gama, and they didn't know if they wanted us to be heels or faces. And then we started to cut the promos when it was just him and I. And we started to gel, you know, Griselda and I started to gel, or Rohan. And we started to build some momentum. And then something happened, I think, with his visa or something. I don't know the full details. And then he ended up saying, look, I'm gone. And so then the momentum stopped again. And then we had Raj, and also, you know, shout out to Raj, who I haven't seen in a long time. He just got over his injury, so hopefully he'll be back soon. But and then Raj and I had to click. We didn't know each other from anything, so we're trying to find our way. We're trying to click, and we started to get a little bit of love, and then it would just fizzle out. And the next thing you know, we're bottom of the card, not doing anything, just pretty much job guys. Then they bring in Shira. Shira comes back. And so we're like, okay, now we have to figure out how to make all three of us work. And then Shira and I do more of the tag stuff. And then that's starting to work for a little bit. And then the pandemic happens, and Shira has to go back. You know, he has some stuff. He had to go back to India. Raj gets injured. Pandemic happens. I'm the only one there. And then I thought, for me, that was a blessing. Like, because as much as I love those guys, us being together, it was useless, because we weren't going anywhere. We weren't doing anything. We weren't growing. I would love for us to be, I'm glad I'm with Shira now, because it helps him, just him and I together. It also helps him grow as an individual. And if Raj comes back, I think Raj should be, it shouldn't be like a group thing. It should be individuals. It should be like a horseman thing, where there's individuals, and then each person are their own person. We just happen to be together. But for me, it was tremendous. It was what I was waiting for. I wanted my shot, because no longer was I, it was me cutting the promos. It wasn't Gamma talking for me. And people were finally like, oh man, this guy can talk. How come they didn't let him talk before? And it's just like, yes, how come you didn't let me talk before? And there was lots of frustrations for me, because I felt like they weren't using me to my full potential. And then I was like, okay, cool. They're finally giving me a little something. And then it got taken away. And I was just doing all this job work again. I was like, what is going on? Like, I've been putting on all this work, and I don't complain backstage or anything like that. And I try not, I don't mope around, but it was upsetting, because I didn't think I felt like they didn't see the potential. And then next thing you know, I was X Division champion. And I was like, oh man. So I was waiting for that. And that's what I needed. So I took that, because I remember people were like, why is this guy champion? He's a nobody. And that goes to show you, if they push you like a nobody, people are going to think you're a nobody. They say wins and losses don't count. Yes, they do. If you're getting wins, or you're getting pushed the proper way, you know what I mean, and you're taking advantage of it, that counts, because that's your brand. And people are going to realize that. If you are once you're established, and then you can lose a little bit. Like The Rock could come back and lose like 5 matches in a row, but he's still going to be The Rock, because he's established. If I'm this bottom guy and I'm just losing, no one cares. Nobody cares. And that's another reason why I used Hakim Zane on the Indies instead of Rohit Raju, because Rohit had no value. But anyways, going back to the story. I finally had this opportunity as X Division champion, and people were like, why is this guy champion? I can't wait for him to lose it, this, that, and the other, because people didn't see anything in me. But I knew what I could do. And that's when I said, okay, I'm not Daisy Hit Squad. And it was D-Lo was like, hey, you should change your name to the Daisy Hit Man. And I was like, that's tremendous. And then I was like, what would stand out? And I was like, man, what stood out, one of the biggest changes was when The Rock went from Rocky Maivia to The Rock. But also what stood out was when he won the Intercontinental belt, because then he went from just some guy in a black shirt in the Nation of Domination to a guy wearing these $500 shirts from Jimmy's in Miami. So I was like, man, I'm going to take I'm going to take a page out of his book, and I just won the belt. So I already think it's already gone to my head. So now I'm going to come dressed like a superstar, where all these backstage vignettes, I'm bottom of the barrel, I'm in wrestling gear, a t-shirt, a hoodie. Now I'm going to be in sunglasses. Now I'm going to be in loud, ugly, flashy shirts. And then it just kept building. Then it ended up being a full leather suit outfit. You know what I mean? Taking pictures with the belt on social media, hanging with the belt, playing video games with the title, squatting with the belt, weightlifting with the belt. What can I do? All these things to really change who Rohit Raju is. And people started to notice. So, and that's what I was waiting for. I just wanted that opportunity. I wanted that chance to show people like, I'm not a bottom of the barrel guy. I can be a superstar and I can stay at the top of the pack. And a good chunk of people, I turned their opinion and they were like, this guy gets it. He is one of their, go-to guys. He is a diamond, hidden gem. And people still say that about me. And there's still people that are like, oh, Rohit, he's lame, he sucks. But the cool thing is I know my worth. I know I don't suck. I know how good I am. You know what I mean? Not to be egotistical, but I know what I bring to the table. And I know you can put me in the ring with anybody and I'm going to put on a good match. And I also know that nobody at Impact Wrestling talks like I do. And no one in Impact Wrestling has the charisma like I do. There's a few guys that come close, but and I'm going to put as Arn Anderson would say, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but toot toot. When it comes to a complete package, there's not too many guys there that are a complete package like I am. So, and I know that. So when people say, oh, this guy sucks, water off a duck's back, it don't mean nothing. It's just a bunch of idiots being idiots. So, but yeah, me being a single star, that's what I've been wanting.
Mm. And what's a match that you would love to have, whether it's an Impact or not? I call them dream matches. Is something I always ask.
In all honesty, it's funny when I see all these guys have their lists and they name all these other indie wrestlers or people like that. I don't have anyone like that. Not saying these guys aren't great or anything of that nature. There are guys I'd like to work, but if you're going to ask me a dream match at Impact right now, it'll be Rich Swann. Rich Swann and I always talk. I think Rich Swann is one of the best wrestlers going today. He's also a complete package. He's an old school babyface, and I'm an old school heel. So I think his athleticism, my dirty hand tactics, underhanded tactics are both of our charisma and the way we approach promos and stuff like that. And our in-ring, we've danced in the ring before and it was easy. And there was a chemistry there. And he said the same thing. And he always says every time he does an interview, he's like, hey, I want to work with Rohit because he likes my style. So I do want to work with Rich Swann. I want to have a program with him. He's a top guy. And I think he's going to do nothing but elevate me. Like when I work with TJ, working with TJ helped elevate me and gave me more confidence. And now my confidence as of late has just been through the roof because I feel like I'm just as good as anybody else there. And now I need to get to that next level, which is TJP, Josh Alexander, Eddie Edwards, Rich Swann style, caliber, staying with them. As far as dream matches, though, man, give me Steve Austin, give me The Rock, give me Macho Man Randy Savage, give me programs with these guys so I can go back and forth on the microphone with them and then tell that story in the ring. That's what I want. To me, those are the guys that are it when it comes to professional wrestling. And not just them, like you got Cena, you got like AJ Styles, you get all these guys that have touched base and Impact and WWE and all these other promotions. Those are the guys, they transcend professional wrestling. There's no one else out there like that does that for me, in my opinion. There's no one else there that draws people that don't watch professional wrestling into professional wrestling. And they could do it all. And that's who I would want to be on a big stage with because I know I would learn more than anything from those guys because they are the mecca of professional wrestlers. So being in the ring with something like that, not taking away, the other guys that I mentioned, because obviously I'm going to learn from them. But I think being in the ring with guys that have just done it all at the very tippy top of the sport, that's who I would want to work with, dream match wise.
And what's a rematch in Impact that you would like to have if given the chance?
Oh, that's tough. I don't know. Honestly, I honestly don't know. Maybe again with TJP. Honestly, I don't know. Two other guys that I've never worked with and I want to work with are Ace Austin and Josh Alexander. Josh and I have never been in the ring together, which is weird. Ace and I have done scrambles together, but I've never done singles stuff with Ace. Josh is another guy, like I said, we've never done anything together. But as far as rematches go, I don't know. I mean, I'm always down. My stuff with Jake something. I've known him for like more than 12 years. So anytime we get in the ring, it's tremendous. I thought our match recently was really good. But I honestly don't know rematch wise. I guess TJ, but I mean, maybe that's too soon. So down the line, but now I'm more concentrating on people that I haven't worked with. So that's what I would want to do. You know, after this whole thing with Jake's all said and done, I'd like to be in the ring with guys I've never worked with before. So, and do more stuff like that.
Yeah. And we'd love to see it 100%, you know.
I got a chance to work with Dante Leon recently, who's this kid from Texas. I think he's a black and brave kid, very Jeff Hardy style, very charismatic enigma presence to him. Had a blast working with him. Great kid. Sky's the limit with him. He's blowing up. Very, very athletic. Of course, I'm at AAW on June 11th. I think it's going to be a rematch with myself and Myron Reed for the Heritage Championship belt. Myron's another guy I enjoy working with. I did get a chance. That's a guy I've never had a chance to work with. And we had a couple matches last year. And then we had a great match at AAW this year where he took the belt from me. We just recently had a three-way dance between myself, him, and Jake Something at Glory Pro, which was a 20-minute, great 20-minute banger. If you got, it hasn't aired yet, but if you get a chance, it's going to be on. I think that one's on High Spots. Just go to at Glory Pro on their Twitter and check it out. But I'm trying to, now that indies are opening up, I'm trying to jump back on the indies. I hit up a few promotions down in Florida. I know there's some. I really want to get down to New Wave Pro down in Texas. There's a couple other places in Texas that hit me up that I'm trying to do. Of course, I'm like we talked about the UK. I'm hoping to broaden my horizons. I'm hoping travel restrictions open up a lot more so I can get out of the country, get back to Canada and wrestle. I do have Glory Pro. I can't remember the date. I think it's a July date, I believe. I wanted to say it was. I don't want to say the date because I forgot, but I know Ethan Page is going to be down there, and I haven't seen him since he left Impact, so it's going to be really cool to see Page, Bod Squad member. But as far as Impact goes, I'm trying to get on Slammiversary. I really want to be on the pay-per-view. I wasn't on Rebellion, and it hurts a little bit when you're not on the pay-per-views because you want to be there, you want to have live eyes on you, and you want you want to show the world that you're a part of. That you're one of the best in the company. So, and the way you do that is having a marquee match in a pay-per-view. So I'm hoping I'll be at Slammiversary. Jake Something and we got to tie up this little thing we have going on between each other. I don't know where that's going, but I'm sure that's going to be announced either this week or next week. So we'll see where that goes. And that's it really. Just trying to stay relevant and Impact. Sometimes, I asked for this feud with Jake Something as far as creative goes because I knew I was just kind of floating. I'm sure after this, I'm probably going to be floating again. And what I mean by floating is you'll just be in random matches because, you're just not one of the guys they have something for at the moment. So a lot of times you have to come up with something. So I knew Jake wasn't doing anything. We have a long history. And I was like, hey, why don't him and I do a little something. So they put us together, which, I've loved working with him. And our blow-off match will be coming up pretty soon. And then after that, I don't know, maybe more X Division stuff. We'll see. But my main goal is to be on Slammiversary and to be relevant at Impact and either get that X Division championship belt back around my waist or move up to the world title picture. Or maybe Shira and I will go after tag titles. We'll see. But I do want to be in the hunt for a title. So, when you're in the hunt for the title, eyes are on you. And that's when you can really start busting out some of your best matches.
Amen. You got to put it into the universe, make it happen.
Exactly.
And my last question for you today, Rohit, is, this sport, as you know, it's hard. And we talked about this earlier with the traveling and sometimes you don't get the support that you might be seeking. So for anyone that is watching this that really actually wants to be a wrestler and might be in school training, what's your advice that you might have for them?
Professional wrestling it can be a bittersweet road. It's a little bit different now since when I broke in, social media is a big key. If you can get people to jump on your bandwagon from a clip or a GIF or something like that, word of mouth and buzz can travel fast. And sometimes it doesn't. Like I'm still struggling. I honestly feel like my talent should be way more over than it is, but for whatever reason, it's not. You know what I mean? And that's just So it's like it leaves a very bitter taste in my mouth. That's hard. You might be really good, and you may never get the shot, the opportunity that you probably deserve. And then you'll see guys that may not be as qualified as you, or your good friends, and they may be getting tryouts. They may be getting millions of followers. They may be getting, the places that you want to get. It can be a short road or it can be a long road. You're going to alienate a lot of people. You're going to be on the road a lot. You're going to be hustling. You're going to be losing a lot of money before you make a lot of money. They're going to be beating up your body a lot. And the one thing is, though, is how bad do you want it and how much do you love it? I love professional wrestling. I have been in a spot where I've absolutely hated everything that surrounds it, but I love being in the ring. When I'm in the ring, I absolutely love it. Sometimes I don't like a lot of the things that happen behind the curtain, a lot of the politics, a lot of the he said, she said, a lot of the fan interactions, like on social media. I think some of that stuff is just absolutely toxic. I think a lot of it is a really weird popularity contest, and I don't get behind that a lot. I do think there's a lot of people out there that are very talented and don't get their just due. So that may be you, and that may happen to you, but you got to keep grinding. You got to keep hustling. You'll know when it's not for you anymore. You'll know when it's your time to step away. When you absolutely dread going to shows, you absolutely dread being in the ring, and you don't have those butterflies anymore before you walk through that curtain, you'll probably know, you know what, maybe it's just time that I walk away from it for a little bit, or walk away from it altogether. But that's my advice, because I've been there, up and down, up and down, up and down. I love professional wrestling. Like I said, I love being in the ring, and not a lot of times I love everything that goes with it. So, and that's any real job or passion that you have. There's a lot of times there's things that you don't like that go with it, but the main thing, the meat and potatoes of it, you still love and enjoy. So hopefully you find success, and best of luck to you.
Thank you, Rohit, for such an amazing conversation. You are a gentleman, a professional, and you're going to do great things. Your fans really appreciate and love you. So thank you so much for your time and your talents. Take care, and we'll see you later.